Hello everyone and welcome to this training video on the primary school unit plan. In this video I'll be showing you a sample of a unit plan from second grade, the first unit of the year actually, and this will be very similar to all of the unit plans in all primary levels grades 1 through 4. Now the first thing you notice about the plan is the theme. The theme here is identity. Now that's going to be the same theme that's covered in the other grade levels as well, in grades 1, 3, and 4 in the first 6 weeks of the school year. Each theme is broken down into 3 units. This is the first one. One unit plan covers 2 weeks of lesson hours. So if you do the math, 3 units, 2 weeks each, that's your 6 weeks in each theme. Our central idea here is understanding ourselves and our friends helps us have better relationships. This central idea then is broken down in the unit plan, and our goal really is to measure whether or not students have grasped this central idea through our summative assessment task and through our formative learning outcomes further down in the plan. Now, for some of the technical details you see on these bars, you have grade 2. We are aligned to CEFR level A1, the GSE, Global Scale of English, levels 24 through 26, and at the extending point in our Butch-Tier College competency scale, which means about halfway through A1, as they've started with A1.1, the first levels in first grade, starting in entering, beginning, and developing, and then extending, reaching, and then breakthrough are the stages in the competency scale in second grade. In the first 2 units, we'll be extending. The dates, like I mentioned, 2 weeks, September 30th through October 11th. Now, our CLIL connection here in second grade, in the first unit, we don't have a connection to another subject area exactly, but we do have a connection to a value, being a good friend, which will also be covered in the Turkish homeroom lessons as well. Interdisciplinary connection here is social studies. Typically in these boxes we want more detail than this. We want actual details on an interdisciplinary activity or project that will be conducted as a cooperation between departments or between subject area teachers or with the homeroom teacher in primary. However, for this sample we just wanted to mark the subject that would be most applicable to this particular unit with more detail to follow in the actual plans. So we have our summative assessment task here, which is a recipe for a good friendship, a metaphorical recipe for a friendship cake. And this summative assessment task, again, is the unit project. It's meant to allow students the opportunity to show that they grasp this central idea. Now, how are we going to measure that? How are we going to observe that? Well, we're going to do it using these summative learning outcomes. We want to see whether or not students have been able to observe and describe similarities and differences between people, explain the characteristics that helps us develop good relationships, analyze the importance of roles in a classroom and community, and to value the importance of being kind and respectful to others. So, of course, in the analysis, we prepare a variety of assessment documentation and instruments, such as rubrics, checklists, and those will be applied along with an instruction page for the summative assessment task, so that when it comes, all of your teachers have something to follow in terms of implementing the activity and then assessing it. If we go down, we have the central idea then further broken down, and we actually see the lessons here under learning engagements. But before that, it's important to note the essential questions. We have 4 in each unit, and those 4 essential questions are walking us through the different levels of Bloom, as you see, remembering, understanding, applying, analyze, and so on. And also we have more and more focus on early in the unit receptive skills, a little bit later in the unit productive skills, interactive skills, and by the end mediative skills. So that then in the plan we have accounted for both Bloom's taxonomy and its integration into our curriculum, and also our CEFR-based component of our curriculum. And that's accomplished through this focus on differentiating the activity types across the unit, becoming more receptive at the beginning and more productive, interactive, and mediative as we pass through the unit. So we look at the formative learning outcomes here. This is where you see the central division in our program in terms of our methodologies. We have our core and we have our extension. Now the core is similar to last year's IS program, if any of you remember that. And then extension is similar to CS. Core is instructed by a Turkish English teacher, whereas extension is instructed by a foreign English teacher. The core component is driven by our course books in primary school, Bloom and Grow. Those course books then are broken down here in the learning engagements, along with referencing extra materials. Material 1 and 2 are listed here, for example, along with the pages in the Bloom books that you'll be using at those levels as quick guides for you to be able to look through what you're going to be using to accomplish these formative learning outcomes, which again align with this essential question. The extension part here aligns with the extension packs that you all have received, and those extension packs then also align with the same theme and usually the same unit, and those are again connected to learning engagements. These pages then represent the pages in the extension pack. So you all can follow those and use the teacher resource materials available in the packs to make sure that you can conduct a successful lesson. Now, these learning engagements are quite limited, and they aren't like a traditional lesson plan in terms of including scripting or including any more detailed support for what you're going to actually do in the lessons. However, don't panic, because we have many more details coming below in the plan in the form of detailed teacher notes that will help teachers try to accomplish these learning engagements in the class with more guidance provided in those notes. So I'll show you that in just a moment. Now, if we go through again, and one more thing, you did notice the GSE Learning Objectives section is blank for now. We are working with our friends at Pearson to align all of our units in the primary levels with the global scale of English. So we're waiting for their help this year in terms of mapping our course books and also going through our unit plans with us to make sure that we are aligning at the correct places and that we're actually at the levels that we describe here at the top of the plan. So that will be an ongoing effort. However, the GSC was referenced in the production of our course materials, so there should be good alignment already. We then get down to the core inventory. These are the details on the language use, language form, and vocabulary that's present in this unit. Here we have language functions, we have grammar forms, we have categories of vocabulary, pronunciation areas, and keywords or chunks that we're expecting students to know in this particular unit. So it just gives us a little more information in terms of the language we're focusing on in this unit, and we have gone back and standardized and made sure that all of these forms fit the level of the unit, which again is A1 GSE 24 through 26. We have used the English profile for vocabulary and grammar to do so. Now, if we come down here, we see a few descriptors written in this life competencies section for critical thinking, emotional development, and social responsibilities. Now, we've done this by referencing the Cambridge Life Competencies Framework. For each of these 21st century skills categories, there are descriptors listed by CEFR level. We have referenced those and aligned them with activities in this actual unit. Our goal long term is to work with Cambridge in terms of more systematically integrating these life competencies descriptors into all of our plans to make sure we cover all of them and make sure that we do so in each grade level and across all units. Now, if we keep going down, we see learning resources here. These are your books that are going to be used, published materials, along with any electronic resources that you have at the level and any library resources. Now, we're quite limited in this area. I know some of our schools have just a few books in a room, and that's what makes up the library. However, long term, we're looking at expanding the inventory across all of our schools and getting more involved with library integration in all of our plans. For now, it'll just give you suggestions. Homework and remedials, you'll see the weekend worksheets, remedial handouts listed here, plus any extra details that you would like to add yourselves. This plan is a document that you can edit and add to if needed, and we will also put necessary details in terms of what's standardized across all of our schools here. If we keep going down, extracurricular components, Now, there are no system-wide events to mark on this, or no holidays, celebrations, or trips, visits that we're doing across the whole foreign languages department. However, if there's something at your particular school, just so teachers have a convenient reminder, you can add those yourselves into these boxes and share that with your teachers before you distribute the plans. So if we keep going down, now you see where your extra support comes. Now let's go back up just to remind you of the learning engagement section. If you take your unit plan and you go through lessons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 20, you can pretty much just reference these book pages and material numbers through the uh, materials provided to you by main office and in your course books to make sure you're teaching everything expected of you in this plan. Now, we're able to do this because all of these academic materials in use this year have been aligned to our curriculum so that following our book essentially means following along with our curriculum. So we've added this section at the top, learning engagements, just for experienced teachers who just need to know what page they're on and what material to use, and then can go to class and implement it effectively. However, the teacher notes are for newer teachers or really any teachers who need a little extra support. You see here, these teacher notes include detailed lesson support where necessary, including scripting with explanations of methods and techniques, along with comments on classroom management, including differentiation and pacing. So this is several of the lessons here. You can get an idea of the much more detail that's included in the teacher notes to help teachers who need a bit more scripting, a few more suggestions about what to do, activities to start a class with, for example, for a warm-up activity, or just to supplement the activities that are in the book in terms of giving a little more guidance. So we're hoping those teacher notes will be helpful to all of you. Now, when you complete this unit plan, you will have gone through 20 lessons. Just keep in mind that your core and extension lessons are obviously separate with the Turkish English teachers and the foreign English teachers teaching them. We do realize that it's not always the case that after the third lesson, the extension program comes in for 2, and then 6, 7, and 8 lessons of the week go back to core, and so on. We understand that at every school, the scheduling is a bit different. So what you want to do is, with your core and extension teaching partners for any particular class, encourage them to be meeting regularly, find out where each of them are on the plan, discuss and make sure if they're still covering learning outcomes connected to this essential question, that the core or the extension teacher knows one is behind or ahead of the plan, just so that they can adjust and know what each other's doing and to be on the same page. So anyway, this is your overview of your unit plan. I hope this was helpful. We'll be sending these out to you in the coming weeks, and you'll be using them in all levels 1 through 4. Thanks for your attention. Have a very nice day.